a current subscriber. You already know how special you are to me. Mwah! Thank you guys and gals so much, my stars, for making our channel continue to grow, for helping me to stay passionate about keeping our channel active. If this is your first time visiting Luminousz Star, welcome to Luminousz Star. Should you become a part of our Star family, welcome. Please go ahead and mind that description box below for further details to today's video. That's one of the major signs of a cluster B personality, and a person who has a narcissistic personality is a person who lacks empathy. Okay, so since they lack empathy, they don't become offended or hurt very easily. It's a mind game. They want you to become so uncomfortable with defending yourself that you will second guess yourself. You will think twice about defending yourself when they hurt you, when they offend you, when they do something to traumatize you or cause you some other type of grievance. They want you to think twice about it. They don't want you to be confident in defending yourself. So some of you are walking on eggshells. Some of you are mousing around your life. Because the cluster B personality or the narcissist is there emotionally bullying you, if not manipulating you. Okay, and we can move that right on into gaslighting you. So all of this is going on, and you are all in a ball of nerves. And the cluster B personality and the narcissist, they're just whistling and walking through the park. They're good, except you're the one that's going through all of the emotions. You're the one that's hurting. You're the one that's emotionally stressed, okay? Because I realize that some of you are going through this. I've been there, okay? So it's pretty difficult to get to that point where you feel confident enough to defend yourself, to be vocal about how you feel, express what you're experiencing. So you already know emotionally, they're not safe. They're dangerous, okay? Because you can get hurt. You can get burnt again, right? So let that be the reason that you defend yourself. Express what you have experienced in a constructive way. Some of you have reached out to me, and I really appreciate this, about your concerns. I want you all to know I have been there. I've been that person it was very difficult to defend myself. Sometimes I was passive aggressive. Sometimes I was passive about expressing what I was experiencing, especially when someone hurt me. When I was feeling the anger, I felt guilty about expressing that anger. A narcissist and a cluster B personality, they're very good at guilt tripping others. Okay, so they will emotionally bully you into backing down. When you feel that anger, when you feel heartbroken, and you really want to express that, but you may not know how. You may not be confident to do it. You already know you can get burned. You already know that stove is very dangerous. So the narcissist and the cluster B personality, they're not safe. You can get hurt. And this does not mean that you're weaker than they are. This does not mean that you're inferior. This means that you're intelligent enough. This means that you are wise enough. You're mature enough. Okay? You have enough strength to know what you can tolerate and what you cannot. How cluster B personality and narcissistic personality parents encourage their children to pass on the dysfunctional family legacy. And of course, I want to remind, especially my stars, keep thriving forward. Parents who have a cluster B personality and parents who have a narcissistic personality usually reenact their childhood traumas and their unresolved issues during the time that they are parents. Some people might say, well, that's the worst time to do it. However, they usually use the parent-child relationship as a platform to reenact their childhood traumas and their unresolved issues, just like they usually like to use their romantic relationships to do so. The cluster B personality and the narcissist, they have a defense mechanism called avoidance. Okay, they will avoid resolving issues that are very painful. Yet, this is what keeps a wall up between you and them. Therefore, there can never be a real connection. Unfortunately, when it comes to the parent-child relationship, this is also the case. Sibling rivalry between children is natural within families. However, when children become adults, the childhood relationship comes to an end, while the rivalry may continue. Due to dysfunctional behaviors, whether these behaviors are encouraged by parents or not, siblings will tend to be at odds with one another based on their own perceptions rather than reality about the condition of their family. The thing that also happens is that the childhood relationships are over. Not necessarily the rivalry. Sometimes siblings could be in their 50s and 60s and they still have sibling rivalry. I've seen this for myself. Not a pretty sight. Not a pretty sight at all. However, it's quite common when it comes to dysfunctional families that sometimes is headed by a cluster B personality and or narcissist parent. One of the reasons why the sibling rivalry goes on is because you have all of the siblings who are well over 18 attempting to have a childhood relationship when they're all in adulthood. An adult cannot have an adult relationship with a child. However, when it comes to siblings from a dysfunctional family headed by the cluster B personality parent or the cluster B or the narcissistic parent, yeah, you have siblings who are well over 18, yet they attempt to continue to have a childhood relationship and not an adult relationship. That's the time that they're supposed to have an adult relationship, but it's very difficult because there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of trauma that goes unresolved. So the sibling rivalry goes on, and these siblings don't support one another. It's very hard for each one of them to see or resonate where the other one is coming from. So each sibling is still focused on his or her own perception of their dysfunctional family. They're not looking at the condition of the family, which is dysfunctional. They're not looking at that. They're looking at their own hurt. They're looking at their own needs, their own desires, and they're not taking into consideration that their siblings also came from the same dysfunctional family, yet experienced the family differently. So each one of those siblings continue to be at odds with one another, and this absolutely supplies the cluster B personality parent and or the narcissistic parent, and sometimes even the codependent parent, but not so much. This is more geared towards the cluster B personality parent or the parent who has a narcissistic personality. They're the ones that usually set the tone for the sibling rivalry to go long into when each sibling is an adult. So again, it is very hard for each sibling to really sympathize and empathize with one another and feel compassion for one another. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's very challenging because each sibling is focused on their perception of the dysfunctional family. Yet they're not taking into consideration that their family is dysfunctional and what makes it so. Next point. Each sibling has experienced his or her dysfunctional family in a particular way. As adults, this is often not considered by each sibling, making it more challenging to discuss any conflicts that may continue to arise amongst them during adulthood. This dynamic keeps the cluster B personality and narcissistic parent well supplied while keeping them off of the hot seat. Their main aim is source supply and keeping the false self-image relevant. It's ironic how they stay off of the hot seat. They need to be on it, but they stay off of the hot seat because each sibling is in conflict with the other sibling. This supplies the cluster personality parent. This supplies the narcissistic parent. This also keeps him or her off the hot seat because each sibling is focused on the other sibling rather than looking at the parent who started the sibling rivalry in the first place in order to be supplied. Very ironic. Signs of childhood trauma, flashbacks and nightmares, mismanaged anger, lack of eye contact, shame, guilt, changes in eating habits, easily startled, overly dependent upon people, places, and things. In other words, codependency. Tools. Trust yourself. Keep going. Well done. Last tool. Keep track of your progress. In other words, celebrate how far you've come instead of just looking at all of the pitfalls in your life. I know for me, this was not easy, but I've gotten out of that a little bit. I'm not saying every now and then I don't have my moments. However, when I keep track of how far I've come, I do feel better. And I do celebrate and give myself a pat on the back sometimes. And sometimes it does us good to look in the mirror and say, well done. Okay? Second tool, keep going. Keep thriving forward. First tool, trust yourself. You don't have to trust the narcissist and the cluster personality. I actually wouldn't advise it. But you have to probably trust yourself. This is probably going to help you see who is trustworthy and who isn't. It's amazing how when you have a great relationship with yourself and you learn to trust yourself, it's easier to detect who's trustworthy and who isn't. People who come into your life and people who are around you currently. You will begin to have a great radar for those who are demonstrating that they are trustworthy and who demonstrate that they are not trustworthy. So trust yourself. All right.